Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first deep dive episode of the Outside of a Classroom podcast. In these deep dives, we take one idea and examine it seriously. We'll look at where it works, where it fails, and what it actually requires inside organizations. Today, I want to focus on one element of a broader framework around barriers to executing strategy, clarifying strategic direction and focus. Now, this is not about vision statements or mission language or slogans, but about direction, focus, priorities, trade-offs, and defining what success actually means. Now, most organizations do not fail from a lack of effort. They actually fail in executing on strategy from a lack of clarity. And the absence of clarity is really something that announces itself loudly. It actually shows up quietly. It's in meetings where everyone agrees, but no one is actually certain. In initiatives that sound important but are actually disconnected, or in projects that begin with a lot of energy but slowly dissolve into this operational noise. Now, strategic ambiguity is not chaos. It is drift. It is people working hard in slightly different directions. It is senior leaders using the same words but meaning different things. It is teams optimizing locally while the organization fragments globally. And over time, that fragmentation starts to compound. Now, when I've asked leaders about their strategy, I often hear language that is impressive. We're focused on growth. We're doubling down on innovation. We're customer-centric. All reasonable. But they're also incomplete. Because strategy is not about aspiration. It is a decision. It is a choice about what is mission critical. It is clarity around the problem we are trying to solve, and sometimes, more importantly, whether it is even our problem to solve. That question eliminates more strategic noise in most planning sessions. What is the problem? Is it our problem? Can we actually solve it? Are we the ones positioned to address it? And how different is this from what we've already been doing? If the answer is not very different, then you may simply be describing the same priorities in new language. Strategic clarity forces us to ask, where is the pain point? How bad is that pain? Will it go away on its own? Is it a symptom of perhaps something deeper? Is it referred pain from another part of the organization? Or is this possibly a signal of decline? Now, you do not need perfect answers to all of these questions on day one, but you do need the discipline to ask them. Because if you cannot define the problem precisely, you cannot allocate precisely. And when there's no precision in allocation, there's no clarity in execution. And this is where organizations become uncomfortable. Clarity requires subtraction. It requires saying, we are not doing this. It requires identifying what will be underfunded, what will be delayed, what will disappoint certain stakeholders, what parts of success must be left behind. This is one reason clarity is difficult. It's not intellectually difficult. It is politically difficult. When direction is unclear, what happens? Budgets expand to too many initiatives. Talent is spread thin. New hires are justified as strategic, but no one can actually articulate how. Metrics start to multiply. Everything becomes a priority. And as you know, when everything's a priority, nothing really is. You see it behaviorally. Middle management starts to fill the gaps with their own interpretation. Teams create their own definition of success. Decision-making starts to slow, not because of capability, but because the criteria for success are unstable. So what is strategic clarity actually? It's not a 40-page PowerPoint deck. It's not a beautifully articulated purpose statement. It is disciplined commitment. It is being able to answer clearly, why are we doing this? What specifically must change? What are we willing to give up today to get what we want tomorrow? And how will we know if we're moving towards that goal? Not activity, not updates, but actual progress, real change. What are the interim milestones to indicate we're moving in the right direction? If you cannot define them, people will start to default to effort, and effort feels productive, but Effort without direction creates exhaustion, and that starts to erode confidence. To make this practical, imagine an organization that says its strategy is digital transformation. It invests in new systems, hires digital talent, launches pilot programs, but when you look closer, legacy processes remain untouched. Incentives still reward historic output over new capability building. Budget reviews still prioritize old revenue lines. And senior leaders continue to measure success primarily through traditional metrics. The language says transformation, but the allocation says preservation. That gap is not accidental, it's a clarity problem. The organization has not defined the most important part of the problem to solve. Is the issue technology? Is it capability, culture, decision rights? Is it customer experience? If you cannot identify the most pivotal lever, resources will start to scatter, and scattered resources produce incremental change, not meaningful transformation. Now, contrast that with an organization that has clarity. It identifies one or two mission-critical shifts. It defines the pain precisely. It breaks the problems into parts. It determines what is required to solve it. It evaluates whether it has access to those capabilities. It determines what trade-offs may be necessary. It assigns the right leaders, not simply available leaders. And it tracks a small number of metrics that directly reflect movement on the core issue. Progress starts to become visible. Energy starts to concentrate. Coordination improves, not because people are working harder, but because there's less friction. This is what clarity does. It reduces this internal negotiation. It reduces interpretation. It reduces noise, and it strengthens execution capacity. Now, clarity does not guarantee success, but ambiguity almost guarantees diffusion. And diffusion weakens conviction. And once conviction weakens, execution becomes almost fragile, almost improbable. Let me leave you with a few questions. Can you describe in one sentence the most important problem your organization is trying to solve? How do your allocation decisions reflect that sentence? Would your middle managers describe the strategy the same way you do? If you removed 3 current initiatives tomorrow, which ones would it be? And what would that reveal about your real priorities? Strategic clarity is not about sounding decisive. It is about being decisive, quietly, consistently, and visibly through action, before planning, before workflows, before incentives. Just clarity. Thank you for listening.